Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Well, I've got a bit of a surprise for you. Purim is over by now, but in other years, Purim wouldn't be exactly over until Sunday evening. So here's the story. According to the book of Esther, the Jews were given permission by Ahasuerus to vigorously resist the plot by Haman to kill them all. Those battles took place on the 13th of Adar this year, this past Wednesday. Then the Jews partied on the 14th of Adar. That was Thursday of this past week, and that represented, if you will, the first Purim celebration. But the battles in the capital city of Shushan, according to the book of Esther, actually lasted until the 14th. Apparently, the by then deceased Haman had quite a few supporters in the capital city of Shushan. So Shushan Jews celebrated their victory on the 15th of Adar, and that would have been this past Friday, the 18th. And so, Friday, the 18th this year, was called Shushan Purim. And Shushan Purim, very important to know, is observed in all cities around the world that were walled at the time of Joshua. Don't ask. And that includes the towns of Jaffa, Tiberias, and of course Jerusalem. Now here's the catch. If the 15th of Adar occurs on a Saturday, as it does every few years, then the Shushan Purim celebrations have to extend to Sunday because you can't do the Megillah reading and other kinds of things on Shabbat. So bottom line, in some years, Purim actually lasts 4 days. And I would say that's not bad at all for what is actually a minor holiday, 1 day in length. Okay, our Sedra is Tzav, beginning with Leviticus 6:1 and following. Together with last week's Sedra, we now have a complete schematic of the various kinds of sacrifices that the Israelites were called upon to bring. Voluntary sacrifices, obligatory sacrifices, sacrifices that tried to repair a rupture between the people and God, sacrifices which were expressions of pure gratitude, and sacrifices which were accompanied by anguished pleading for relief from a troubled harvest or a troubled soul. Now, sacrifices were ubiquitous throughout the ancient world, ubiquitous, but nevertheless almost infinitely different from one culture to another. A tender lamb, handful of grain, the still beating heart of an enemy, baskets of first fruit, and even a firstborn male child tossed into a roaring flame. The prophets unceasingly warned the people that God was really not all that interested in their sacrifices. In their words, the God of Israel wanted love, justice, mercy, and forgiveness far more than lavish offerings on festivals and holidays, far more even than the scrupulous observance of the Sabbath and the new moon. There is a striking, well-known Agadah in the Talmudic tractate known as Yoma, referring to Yom Kippur. The Jewish people cry out to God that as hard as they try, their moral core is still being eroded by the presence of the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. That Yetzer, they confess, in their words, is still dancing among us. The Holy One of Blessing agrees that the power of the Yetzer over human lives might come to an end. So after a 3-day fast, the people were fasting. God allows them to see the Yetzer in the form of a fiery lion's whelp emerging from out of the temple. People run up and they throw chains around it. They capture it. They tie it down and rejoice. They now have removed this persistent threat to human nature. But the story, as I think most of you know, doesn't end there. Over a period of days, no hens laid eggs, no babies were conceived, no plants brought forth flowers, grains. Creation itself was collapsing in despair. The people had no choice but to remove the chains from off of the Yetzer. And therefore, the story, the Agadah, ends. We remain forever flawed, imperfect creatures, struggling toward a life free from sin and never achieving it. The sacrificial system, in all of its varieties, with its bizarre cruelties and intricate rituals, with its endless rules, practices, and procedures, was apparently designed for two core purposes: to free us from the burdens imposed upon us by our own brokenness, and to do so in a way that allowed us to grow in our understanding of the nature of existence itself. Two purposes. As an example, let's explore animal sacrifice. On the face of it, such sacrifices were bloody, violent, and aesthetically abhorrent. No matter how much incense was burned, the smells of the abattoir could not be avoided. The sounds of suffering and dying could not be blocked out. The late Rabbi Jonathan Sacks goes amazingly far in considering the possibility that human beings are violent by nature. Whether in the Roman Colosseum or on a sports field or watching kickboxing, we humans find a fascination with pain and with suffering. We treasure blood, we fear blood, and we are attracted to the spilling of blood. For Sacks, the sacrificing of animals was designed to divert us from the shedding of human blood, because we human beings are violent. To turn our human interest in violence into a ritualized way to serve God. In this way, animal sacrifice was intended to help us move forward in life despite the brokenness that describes us. The sacrificial system not only provides us with an outlet for our violence, but it also surrounds us with reminders that the shedding of human blood is a grievous sin. There is simply no question that vegetarianism is highly approved of within the Torah, that the eating of animal flesh is a compromise, and that compromise is sanctified by ritualized sacrifices and elaborate rules for the slaughter and then for the consumption of animals. In Sacks's own words, sacrifices are a substitute for violence directed at mankind. We're going to stop here. Going to flip to the second tape. Thank you.